Just take a minute out of your day to let me read you this absolute cinema. Lupi Godinez versus Tatiana Suarez. Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovic. And Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. I'm not restarting the video. Fuck that. I've done it about 40 times and I'm sick of it. It's a sick card. It's the point. It's the whole point of this intro here is that it's a sick card. That's what I'm trying to portray. That was the prelims, by the way. That was what also I was supposed to say, all right? Now I'm rage baiting myself. Fuck. This card's sick. I know Van versus Tyra just got pulled, but this card is truly elite from start to finish. Big names, big fights, and big title fight implications, ending with Jiří Procházka versus Carlos Holberg. A guaranteed war. It's going to be a banger, and I'm here to say, as a UFC content creator and fan, I'm here to shit on the UFC. Every single day. If they give me an opportunity, I will do. It's just what fans are about. We're fickle like that. We hate, we love, we hate, we love. But credit where credit is due. UFC 327 is one of the best cards they've made in a very, very long time. So what makes a card great? The start is a key factor. And I think when you're starting a card with Kevin Holland versus Vicente Luque, you can't lose. Kevin Holland, listen, perhaps it screams a fall from grace. Kevin Holland is certainly not the Kevin Holland that beat Michael Bisping and fought Adesanya. But having a guy with Kevin Holland's prestige in the UFC be the first fight on the card, it sets you up for bangers. Start the card off with a known name and then you can move from there. Then you can start to implement the prospects, the guys who people may not know, but start the card with two strong names, and Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland is just that. So once we've started the card good, we've got to continue with entertaining fights. That's the next build-up, the entertainment block. This is where you start getting the fans interested. You get a couple KOs back-to-back, you're right. We're about to see a good card here. Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown is great for that. Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico is a prelim fight. Is incredible. I know Aaron Pico certainly lost the steam of when he first came into the UFC after getting flatlined by Lerone Murphy. And Patricio Pitbull is not the guy he used to be, but entertainment. Knockout factors are high there. High likelihood of a finish. We grab the entertainment, the fans invested. The potential for it to be a great card has started. We've started with big names and entertaining fights. What's the next factor? The next factor for me is installing big prospects and guys you think will go on to become the top of the top in their division. Azamat Murzakanov is by no means a young prospect. He's like 40 years old or something. But he is undefeated and he is on an absolute charge up the light heavyweight division. So you've got him versus Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, another big name moving up. Azamat Murzakanov has a lot of opportunity here to build the hype. He could put away Paulo Costa, and if he does, he's going to be looking at a top 5 guy, a top 3 guy in the light heavyweight division. Then, if you move up a bit further, Josh Hoke is quite high up on this card. A very talented heavyweight prospect, which people are very excited to watch, going against an established Curtis Blades. You put the prospect against the established UFC veteran, what do you get? You either got the unk still got it, or you got the prospect to put in legitimacy to the talent. Finally, to round out the card, you would have 2 title fights, and this card had just that. But unfortunately, Van gets injured, Van versus Tyra gets moved to UFC 328, so it's just 1. So if you've just got 1 title fight, you're trying to make a great all-time card, you need 1 title fight. What do you need? A banger. Stand-up, pure entertainment, a pure 50-50 where the odds are as close as they can be between 2 absolute samurais. Carlos Holberg versus Jiří Procházka is just that. Unironically, this card was way better than the White House card before Van and Tyra pulled out. In fact, even with them pulled out, it might still be better. But this is a great card, and I'm not saying that the UFC has fallen from grace. The UFC always had shit cards, don't get me wrong. You're just going to get that, alright? They need to pay the bills, they need to put a product out there. Sometimes the cards aren't going to be good. Sometimes you're going to have a good card and it's not going to deliver. That's just life. Last weekend, Moicano vs Duncan was one of the more entertaining cards of the year, if not the most entertaining card of the year. And it was one of the least hyped fight nights in the last decade. But all Dana can do is build the hype for the fight. He's not in control of how the fighters perform. He's not in control if a banger matchup becomes a dud. That's not his problem. All he has to do is build hype for fights. And this has just that. I am way more excited for UFC 327 than I have been for UFC 325 or UFC 326. And do you know what I was excited for? UFC 324. UFC 324 was stacked top heavy, but it was very exciting. You had big names that you wanted to see. You had up-and-coming contenders that could really put a stamp on themselves. That's what this card has. I will slate the UFC and their lack of consistency of making fun, entertaining cards, but UFC 327 has it all. What do you guys think of UFC 327? What could we do to improve the quality of UFC cards to where every card is like UFC 327? Like and subscribe for more.